I'm Georgie Friedman. I'm a video and video installation artist. I'm generally interested in our personal and psychological relationship to uncontrollable natural forces, severe weather or tsunamis or geysers or earthquakes and hurricanes and storms. I also just love watching the light and movement of natural elements and really like bringing people's attention sort of back to those things. For my Boston Artist in Residency project, what I proposed was a project called Altering the City Video Landscape, in which I wanted to project natural elements in the middle of the city.
Mayor Walsh initiated a cultural plan called Boston Creates, and the idea behind this plan is to really integrate art into everything that the city does. So OpenAIR is the perfect way for us to really invite artists in directly to work with city staff folks and work with constituents and help us to find ways to support artists and also to support their art making in a way that increases our dialogue around important issues in the community.
How do we bring nature back to these public spaces that are forgotten or forlorn, and then that space can actually in turn be restorative to the neighborhood, to the physical surrounding, and to the people in that surroundings?
The feeling was that Georgie's work of projecting onto and into spaces would be this unique way of taking something that was empty and enlivening it.
Department of Neighborhood Development has a lot of different subgroups in their department. They're a really big department. They try to bring vitality and vibrance kind of back to neighborhoods. I was sending out emails to various community groups to hear if anyone wanted to nominate an empty space or a wall that they might want to see activated. Because really one of the goals was to make kind of a fun environment for people. Maybe it's a place they walk by every day and you just stop looking at it because you're like, oh, it's just this empty wall, and to kind of reactivate a space. For the Strand, I really liked its location. It's right in the middle of Upham's Corner. It was really busy. It had the most foot traffic and also people stopping at a red light. And it's just really active, and it was a really big facade.
The Strand came into the city's portfolio in the 1970s. It had been a gorgeous, late Victorian era movie house, live theater, and it had fallen into disrepair. It's a colonial crossroads. It's existed probably for almost the 400 years of Boston's existence. It's always been the site of a marketplace, and the Strand was this incredible cultural heritage.
So it kind of all lined up. The only part that was going to be hard is where I was going to put the projectors. But I did some research and I designed a shed that could house the projectors, and then we got a contractor to build that. And there was one piece of existing footage I had that I liked, which was the small waterfall that I filmed in upstate New York, because I liked how it looked like it was coming over the top of the building and kind of transformed it into a waterfall. But after I did more research on the site and learned more about the history of the site as far as its farming history, and then also just knowing that all of this area would have been wooded, I was thinking more about kind of the idea of replanting trees back on the site or grasses and kind of making it more of just sort of this wild little moment in the middle of the city. So I went down to Millennium Park in West Roxbury, which actually used to be, a dump or a big landfill, and then now the city's turned it into a park. So it's actually a perfect example of the city taking, an area that was just kind of useless and making it a place for people to enjoy and go and hang out. And then this one is your shutter speed. That's how fast the shutter opens and closes. So once the exhibit was up, I wanted to make sure that people knew what it was, and because it was a public installation, wanted a good way to be able to hear back from the community what people thought and things like that. So we made posters and laminated some and put them on street poles. We designed these vinyl feet stickers and we put them at various places where it would be good to view the piece, and we made a tiny URL and we made a little hashtag for OpenAIR. It was just kind of fun to hear that people are seeing it and responding to it.
The other question I've got is, what's been the most interesting sort of reaction to it?
I was gonna say, when you look at it this close up, it's the little bricks almost become
Actually, it was kind of fun. Sometimes when I would just be out like documenting the piece, I would have more kind of one-on-one conversations with people because they'd be like, oh, like what is this, and things like that, and it was great. I had official artist hours times where I just, made it public that I would just be hanging out on the corner and people would come and meet up, and those were fun because people just could come and chat or stop by and ask questions, or I could explain more how it was done. With the installation, I do a lot of work to make it look like it wasn't any work.
So I think what Georgie did with her projections was really powerful in literally helping people reimagine how a space could be turned from a deficit in a neighborhood into an asset for the neighborhood.